Hey guys, how's it going? So today is going to be another addition to my car playlist. What I'm going to share with you guys is my current setup on the Q50. I did have just a few changes recently. If you guys have been looking at my car videos that I've been posting the last few months, and it's something really exciting. There she is. We're gonna go ahead and show the new setup with new wheels, and I also got some low, so it's gonna be real nice, and I'm absolutely in love with the finished product. So this is gonna be me taking some time and sharing with you guys my new setup. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so here we have the Infiniti Q50. This is the sport version. This is 2014 year. And then also it is the all-wheel drive model. With this car, I've had quite a few different sets of wheels on it already. If you've seen my previous videos, I've had the 370Z Nismo wheels, the stock Q50 Sport wheels, and then now the newest members to the wheel collection is the Ferrada FR4s. These are going to be pretty much specifically made for the Q50. Ferrada does make several other wheel specs for other cars from what I understand, but for the most part they are incredible. And as you guys can also tell, I am lowered. So the car is lowered currently on RSR springs. This is not the RSR Super Downs. This is just a regular RSR springs that drop it about an inch to 1.2 inches. So very excellent drop. And for the wheel spec on these, right now I have, they're at two. So for the tires, it's going to be Hankook Ventus V12 Evo 2s. And the spec on those is 255, 35, 20. These are 20-inch wheels. So that's going to be the current tire spec. There is some stretch on there, not too intense, but this is definitely the first time I ran anything with a stretched setup, so I'm new to it myself. I didn't think I would like it, but I mean, the aggressiveness of the car is just, it looks amazing, so there's nothing for me to hate there with the stretched tire look. But we'll come around to this side. Nothing too crazy. The red calipers really give it a nice subtle contrast, and you can kind of tell that that front wheel is really sticking out, and it looks mean and aggressive as hell. These are 10.5-inch squared. So again, all-wheel drive, you need to make sure that the tires are all the same size, and you don't want to run anything staggered, otherwise the car will just rip itself apart over time. But I mean, overall it's really cool, and again, the springs just give it that extra nice touch. You can kind of see it does come out a little bit. It's not 100% flush, but again, it's perfect. And then the gap literally can not even squeeze two fingers in there. I could probably just do my thumb right there for the front, and then pretty much the same thing for the rear. I will drive a little bit so you guys can kind of get like a hearing of the car, and I'll talk a little bit more, because everything has been changed suspension wise as well, so it's definitely an improvement, that's for sure. I'm really just in love with the whole thing right now, but we'll go ahead and get in and we'll do a couple cruises around the block. And we'll get into it. Alright, so as you guys can see, it is very crappy weather today. So here's kind of like the front view of the car. So again, with that wheel setup, I mean, it just gives it that mean, aggressive look. And I mean, it's just sitting real nice, you know, with the springs on there. It's really, really awesome. I mean, honestly, I could just say the camera doesn't do any justice, because you see it in person, it's like a whole nother story. But there you kind of have it from like a top view in the front. And I mean, like, you can kind of see that there is like a little bit from the side there, a little hard due to the glare, but you can kind of see the wheel sticking out a little bit in the front. It kind of just makes the car look wider. So here's kind of like a more of a side angle here. And from this side. Alrighty, well, we'll go ahead and get into this thing now and do a little test drive. Well, it's raining really freaking hard, so I don't know how much outside shots I'll do, but I'm sure it'll be enough for what I'm sacrificing my dry clothes for. But right now, I don't have the reset done yet for these tires. So you guys can see I have that warning light there for the, you know, it's not reading the TPMS sensors. So, you know, still gonna do that at one point. I just wanted to also give a quick shout out to the shop that did the job for me with installing the springs and then mounting my my tires and everything. It's gonna go out to R&M Performance. Really cool guys. They actually are good friends of mine, and you know, I took it into their shop just because I know the owner there, and you know, he's very intelligent with cars, and you know, was able to get everything to a T without any issues. So just a shout out to them. They're out in Palatine, so they're, again, R&M Performance. Definitely hit those guys up if you're a local Q50 in Chicago. They'll give you a really good deal on pricing, and they'll make you leave a happy customer like myself. So right now, we'll see how much driving we can really do. It'll be more of just a verbal discussion of, you know, the feels and everything of the springs and whatnot. So again, we'll put the camera in the car, we'll keep it rolling, and I'll just kind of talk a little bit more for you guys. If there is a lot of extra shake, I do apologize. I'm kind of limited with the setup that I have here to make this work. So right now, the first thing I'm encountering is going to be a small curb on my my parents' driveway, so it'll drop pretty quick. So I always have to baby this curb. And then, you know, with the springs themselves, they're very stiff. I can really compare it to, like, my previous car was a 2015 370Z. It was, however, a base model. So the suspension that comes with the car is already pretty stiff as is, because it's a sports car. It's going to be more performance oriented. And honestly, with the stock Infiniti suspension, it felt somewhat the same to the stock base 370Z. Right now, what I'd probably compare the springs to, maybe the stiffness level of like the 370Z Nismo package with the Nismo suspension. I would maybe kind of compare it to that. It might even be a little bit stiffer. I have a friend of mine who has a 370Z with the Nismo package, and I've drove his a few times, and you really feel the bumps on the road, you know, with that suspension, just because it's very tight, and it's, again, it's a performance-based car, especially being the Nismo, so it's got a little extra tunage to it. This car, I mean, it feels almost a little bit more than the Nismo suspension. It feels a little bit stiffer. You can definitely feel the bumps on the road a little bit more. This really depends on what kind of person you are. If you enjoy your leisure and comfort with, you know, minimal bumps and road noise and whatnot, or you like that rugged, you know, stiff, you know, just rebound feeling when you drive the car. And you know, I'm in Chicago, so the roads here are not the greatest. So, you know, being lowered on anything is always it's always a risk. It's going to be a risk you're going to have to be willing to take if you're going to lower your car. You're going to have to be aware of possible scenarios with lowering your car. Anything could happen, and you know, it could be either not so bad or it could be horrible. So here's like some bumps that we're hitting now. The camera will probably really feel those bumps, so you'll see it shake a lot. So again, I apologize in advance, but right now it's not too bad. It's really, it's subtle to me. I don't know. Maybe I've been driving a 370Z for 2 years, so I'm used to this kind of really tight suspension. You know, so to me, it's not even a bother. I love the feeling, honestly. It just makes it feel more sporty. Because the car itself can corner and turn like probably like my 370Z. I mean, that thing was able to turn and just execute really sharp turns without any problem. This thing, now that I lowered it, you know, the center of gravity is lower, so with this car it can definitely, it's more agile. I can feel it. For this big sedan, it's really impressive. One thing to note as well, with the tires I'm running right now, they're a lower profile than the stock Q50 Sport wheels. They're so 255, 35, 20. So it's definitely a little bit of a thinner tire. So with the 20-inch wheel as well, you know, that kind of can play a role in how smooth the ride is. I actually just saw 370Z that just drove by. Anyway, that'll definitely impact the feel of, you know, your driving on top of the springs and what kind of tires you have. You'll definitely notice it either be less stiff or more stiff, you know, when you hit like little bumps and divots in the road. And just kind of give you a little bit of a different view here, so it's not so boring. And then another thing to also note, for aftermarket wheels in general, you do need to go the extra mile with getting some extra parts to make everything work. So when I say extra parts, you're gonna have to change a few things. If you're going from your Q50 stock wheels or sport wheels or whatever wheels, anything OEM Nissan made, you need to make sure that you have these things in order for, you know, no vibrations and so on. So with the Ferrada wheels, they need hub-centric rings. So hub rings basically, and don't get those confused with spacers, because spacers is something completely different. A hub ring is designed basically to fill the extra gap between the Ferrada wheel and the actual hub itself. So because if you put these wheels on without a hub ring, it's just going to be vibration at high speeds. Like probably if you get up to like 30 or 40, you'll probably feel that vibration really early without hub rings. And it could just be, it's not anything good. Anytime you have vibration, I don't think it's anything good. So definitely something I'd recommend. I don't remember the exact outer and inner millimeter sizing, but you can just look up like the Q50 hub rings, and then they already have them like preset. And make sure you go with the aluminum ones, not the plastic. Plastic have a tendency of breaking into pieces when you take the tires off or take the wheels off, whereas aluminum, you literally pay like an extra $3 and the things will last you for a good while. So just something to recommend. Don't go cheap and buy plastic. Make sure you buy the aluminum ones. Another thing too is buying specific lug nuts for the wheels, because the OEM ones are, from what I understand, they're too flat. So you need one that's kind of like a curved design to go into the Ferrada wheels or any aftermarket wheels. You'll notice that because it's just not going to fit right, and again, it will lead to vibrations. And the thing is with these, it's not going to let you, because it's kind of like stupid proof. The Ferrada wheels are not going to be able to fit those giant lug nuts. So again, you need special lug nuts. Usually I hear guys going with the Muteki lug nuts. which is what I have right now on my Ferradas, and they're great. There's no issues at all with those, and again, it works out great. Another perk too with, you know, just the sudden like change I noticed right away is the amount of road noise. Again, with the run flats taken off, and these ones I have, they're just regular tires, they're not run flats, so the sound diminished almost like 50%. Like, it's a lot quieter in here. Excuse me. So you don't really hear that like pesky, like just aggressive rubbing sound, you know, from the tires when you're going like highway speeds. You know, that's definitely something I was really happy with, and you know, it increased the ride quality with just, you know, changing the tires. It makes a huge difference. One other thing too I'm still experiencing is I am still getting vibrations on all fours, because I could feel my chair or my seat vibrating and then the wheel vibrating. Typically after about 60 miles an hour or so, right around highway speeds, is when you start feeling it. There is fixes for this for the Q50. Basically what you need to do is, a few of the guys that I've talked to, they used they have a roll of electrical tape, and what they do is they just wrap one tape of or one layer of that tape around the hub ring on the outside, and then from there basically it just closes that gap a little bit more, because there's a gap in there somewhere. You know, these are not OEM hubs, or I'm sorry, the wheels, they don't fit well to the OEM hubs for these cars. So, you know, you need to do a space, or not a spacer, confusing word, sorry, hub ring, and then a little bit of tape around it. You know, that's fixed the issue a little bit for me, because I did this for all four of the hub rings, but there's still somewhere probably that needs a little bit more, because I do get a little bit of vibrations when I'm going a little bit past 60, like 70s and up. So you definitely notice it a little bit. Nothing too crazy. I don't really travel on the highways often, so it doesn't really bother me. Anything below like 65 is like perfect. Like right now I'm doing 45, and there's no vibration, nothing. But you know, it's definitely something I'm gonna look into when I swap these off. You know, when it comes down to like snow and winter and stuff, I'm gonna put these away in storage and bring out the winter wheels, which are my sport wheels for this car. So yeah, again, it's kind of more verbal today, so I really appreciate you guys listening to me talk a little bit more about this car. So just some more you know, feedback on the springs themselves. It's really good. Like right now I'm driving on a like kind of mediocre type road. It's pretty bumpy, it's not really smooth, there's little divots everywhere, you can see the cameras bouncing around. You know, the rebound is not like super aggressive to where you're feeling like you're on a boat. Again, they're really stiff, so they'll really keep their place. That shock absorber really doesn't bring them back up as quick, so you don't feel the boaty feel like you do on the stock ones. But I mean, overall it handles extremely well. Like, and I mean, I'm gonna do a turn right now. Well, I mean, it's a red light, but just gonna do like a quick turn if I can. Yeah, so I mean, it's perfect. It's definitely nothing that I can complain about. The way the install worked really for these is it's quite simple, based on what my buddy told me when he was putting them in. The fronts are pretty much easy to do, they're straightforward. However, for the rear, for these cars, for the Q50, you need to remove the back seat to reach the back portion of the car to get into the springs and, you know, take everything off from there. The way it's basically held on, from what he said, was just like a bunch of clips, basically. It's like, you know, with Nissan, a lot of their cars have a lot of the plastic trim that's held on by the small little clips. Basically, that's what, you know, that consisted of for that backseat removal. And yeah, it was pretty straightforward overall. He said it's about a 2-hour job, so you know, it's probably going to be closer to the $200 range for just the spring install. So if you guys go anywhere else and they charge you more than $200, it's a ripoff. So make sure you find, you know, somebody that's honest with you, somebody that's professional and, you know, won't bullshit you. Again, in the mechanic world, sometimes it's tough. You know, sometimes people are not honest with their work. But anyway, you know, you guys gotta check out R&M Performance because they're honest people. They're great, and their work really says something. You know, their quality is there. I had the manager there. His name is Ray. He, you know, did everything. He tested everything on my car. You know, ensuring that everything's good to go before I get in the seat. You know, so definitely appreciate that effort and time. It's really cool. You know, but yeah, it wasn't really too bad. I'm just trying to think of what else I can recommend here. You know, with or just like pros and cons. I really don't have anything negative to say about the springs themselves, to be honest. The wheels are perfect, you know, other than slight vibration, which is normal. You know, it's gonna happen with aftermarket wheels, no exception. The springs, honestly, I love everything about it. You know, it's the cheaper alternative, of course, as opposed to coils or bags. But to be honest, I wouldn't go with bags. It's just a bad idea. Coilovers will probably be something that'll happen in the future for this car. But for right now, I'll be happy for years with just the springs. You know, it gives it a nice drop. It gives it a really, you know, just performance boost, you know, handling wise. And I mean, for a daily driver, that's really all that I need. I don't really need anything super high end. You know, this car isn't something that I track or anything like that. So again, it's not a huge deal for me to have, you know, super duper coils and shit, you know, on Chicago roads. You know, the last thing I need to do is blow something out just because of potholes. But yeah, for the most part, guys, that's really what I kind of wanted to talk about. Just a little bit more of the car itself, the tires, the springs, you know, if they're worth it, worth the time and money. You know, I'm gonna just cut to the chase and tell you, yes, you know, don't hesitate on getting something like this, because again, it's more affordable, it's good quality. You know, RSR is a very good brand. A lot of the Q50 and Q60 guys recommend the springs. You know, that's really how I heard about them, is through recommendation. So, you know, they did not lie. You know, I'm super impressed. I'm super happy with the product, and everything in the end was just, it's great. I can't really say anything negative about it. So for the most part, I will cut that short for now for the verbal portion of it. I will probably just showcase the car a little bit more, just another walk around, so you guys kind of get an idea with like the gap and everything within the tires. I'll show that a little bit more. So for the most part, guys, thanks so much for watching. Enjoy the last clip or two that I'll add to this, with just showcasing the car a little more. Thanks so much for watching, guys.